Good evening, welcome. It's another Friday here. Hello, and many thanks for joining us on the edition of Journalist Hangout today. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. On the program this evening, soldiers, Fulani militia exchange gunfire. President Buhari promises to review appointments to address marginalization, and later on, we'll share this with you. Governor Bindo of Adamawa to appoint 20 National Union of Road Transport Workers as special assistants. I'm hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Jide, I greet you. Welcome.
I greet you, Citizen Jones.
I have Dare Odufokon joining us. Dare,
Pleasure,
welcome.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then, we are ready for the trip. I hope you are too.
Sorry.
Okay, then, commentators may be critical of Mr. President's military intervention in the Benue fiasco. It's their right so to do. But the commander-in-chief has broken the ice, so to speak. Troops of the 707 Special Force Brigade reportedly engaged suspected Fulani militia in a shooting match yesterday in the Goma local government area of the state. Now, their suspected mission was probably an attack on Governor Autumn's fish farm and other soft targets. 2 arrests were made. Targeting the fish farm presupposes a premeditated assault, yes, and then the arrested suspects should provide their leads, if you understand what I mean.
Yes, we shouldn't just read about arrests being made. We should read about prosecution. Because as we always say on this program, when we fail to punish people who commit offenses against the state, then we should expect that such people will not stop. As we speak today, in a village called Sokwa, in Logo local government, in the same Benue state, headsmen killed 3 persons. So these killings have not stopped. On the day the president visited Nasarawa State, in Obi local government, they went and killed people. It was on Tuesday. So these killings have not stopped. And usually what happens is once the press reports the killing of some people, whether they are thieves or Fulani, both groups will be looking for avenues for revenge. And that is where our security agencies should come in. Since the reported roasting of 7 Fulani travelers in Boko.
Have they been identified as Fulani?
Yes. Yes.
I want to be sure.
Those who were aware of the journey, they actually even listed some of their names. They knew they were on that journey. So there's no doubt about who they were. Now, there have been attacks on thief communities in Taraba, in Nasarawa, and in Benue since that incident happened. So it's like this cycle will continue if the security agencies do not come out forcefully to ensure that the killings stop. I'm happy that the Chief of Army Staff has deployed special forces. The special forces must do their work diligently and as patriots. They must not take side. There's no way that I will believe that these militants, that the Fulani militia, for example, will be stronger than the Nigerian army. No, it's just not possible. Especially the best trained of our forces. They will crush these people if they really want to do the job. So they have to send a message clearly to these guys that these killings are an embarrassment to us as a people, and that they will not allow it to continue.
Dari, while we consider the wantonness, also it seems to us, of the killings there, I want to hold on to the 2 arrested suspects. And in a state where confidence is in the police is eroded, you want to believe something could be got from there. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Two suspects in the kitty, in the bag, they should give us leads.
Like you said, the confidence of not just the people of Benue State, Nigerians in the police has always been suspect. And especially now that it has been directly or indirectly established that the police is incapable of arresting the ugly situation in that state. That led to the deployment of the special forces from the Nigerian army. The police having these suspects, and we expecting anything miraculous now to follow suit. Probably the suspect giving us leads to where all this is coming from. I am not very optimistic.
But are you considering the alternative? The military had no choice but hand them over to the police.
But then, because that is what the law says,
yeah,
the military doing anything with the suspect will have been, embarking on an extra judicial action. So they did the right thing. They've given them to the police. We can only hope against hope, the way I want to put it. We can only hope because this is not the first set of suspects to be arrested. Like you said, they should give us leads. Is it that they've not been giving us leads? Mom has been the word from all the suspects arrested so far. It is simply lack of diligent actions on the part of the security operatives involved. Because if we take the appropriate steps where necessary, all this will be nipped in the bud. It is actually the failure of the concerned authorities and institutions to do what they ought to do that is prolonging this issue. For example, the governor has been speaking. With due respect to Mr. President's effort to handle this, I think sometimes our body languages say more than we actually say in words. And then that is one issue. The federal government must do everything within its powers now to show Nigerians that it is not actually against the Benue State government. It must show that there is no disparity or disagreement between these two arms of government over this killing, where Nigerians or the people of Benue are made to feel that they or their governor is being opposed by the presidency or the federal government over an issue like this. It can only breed more distrust. And it can only encourage the killers to continue thinking they have some sort of support. We must address that.
Judy, a bit of history here. Elder statesman Paul Unongo said in the build-up, he said, Governor Autumn and stakeholders called the militia to a meeting. Look, give us modalities. We are ready to look at giving you a ranch. Gave them 6 months. 6 months lapsed, nothing happened until the law came and all hell was let loose. So there must be a way of curing the cause, as I always talk about.
Yes, I think that the militia as a group is averse to change. They want grazing to happen in the traditional way. But you see, our world is constantly changing. A state like Sokoto State has invested up to 3 billion naira on a massive piece of land.
And I hear it's working.
Yeah, a massive piece of land. They brought people from Argentina to work, produce fantastic feed for these animals.
And I hear they have farmhouses too.
There are farmhouses in the area. It's actually in the local government of the old, the First Republic, that's Amadou Bello, the premier of Northern region. You know? So it's in his local government that you have that farm. The project started under the immediate past governor. But this governor too has continued with it because it's at the end of the day, it will be able to stop the friction between farmers and herdsmen. If as a farmer on a massive piece of land, you have access to water, You have access to high protein feed for your cattle. You have access to veterinary doctors. Why do you have to go hundreds of kilometers with your cattle when there's a place where they can stay? They even grow fatter.
And so, for you know, also to be allowed to change.
Yes, and you find the governor of Kano also saying, look, the Falgore forest in our state is actually in Tudunwada local government in Kano on the way to Jos, that the Falgore forest can take millions of cattle. So if you can't find a grazing area, come here. But we can't insist that no, we must go, we must unleash cattle on people's farmlands. If you do that, their blood will boil. There will be constant friction. We have to change the way we are doing this currently. We have to find a way to convince. That was why I asked the president to call a stakeholders meeting. Find a way to let people realize that the traditional grazing, moving from town to town, trampling on farmlands and all that, cannot continue. Countries that are smaller than us in Africa, they've tried it. They've tried the new method. We are told that, oh, our own kind of cattle cannot, they cannot survive.
Confined to it.
It's a lie. There are Nigerians today, the big Nigerians. They have farms. They have cattle on their farms. Is this same kind of cattle that they are putting on those farms?
Put simply, they ranch.
They ranch.
So
even the president, you've seen the president's cattle. They are localized in one place. I know senators with ranches, even in Nasarawa, House of Reps members with ranches in Nasarawa. You know, they are localized in that place, and they are taken care of, fed well. They don't have to travel hundreds of kilometers, where in some cases they won't find water. They will be going and going around until they find water. In some cases, in Taraba State, the highest mountain in Nigeria is in Taraba, Chapawadil. The Fulani call it Gangarwa. These herdsmen take their cattle all the way to the peak, just for them to graze. And then just put water and salt. So because the cattle need salt.
The attraction is lush green grass.
Vegetation. They have it. That's what they want.
Dari, Operation Cat Race is here. So might be coming a little too late in the day, but it is here. You cannot but hope it will arrest the situation to a great degree. It's not a laughing matter.
No, it's not. It's a serious matter.
It's a serious matter, but then, like you said, we can only hope it is not coming too late. And why
better not than not doing anything at all.
At least something is starting. And then we must realize the need for all hands now. Cat race or cat jogging. We must go back to what Jide just said. I don't always believe in us deploying forces before we sit down to talk. The meeting is canvassing for. I think if the governors, Taraba governor said before, you know, he also has a similar law in the pipeline, which in fact is signed in January, but had to delay its implementation because of all this crisis. He came out to say, I invited all stakeholders to talks in the build-up to this law. But already, the same Yetiala had issued a warning in Taraba. You implement this law, there will be chaos. The Nasarawa State governor is having a similar issue on his hand. He said he has been discussing with the people involved, the concerned parties. In Benue, the governor has been able to convince us beyond reasonable doubt that the law did not just come into force overnight. There were dialogue, discussions, overtures, recommendations, agreements and disagreements. But what came after the law was signed is what we are seeing now, killings. It simply shows that perhaps the state governors are unable or have been unable or are not respected enough by these Fulani herdsmen to listen to them. That is where we have a federation. This is one of the reasons why we are operating a federation. We now have the federal government perceived to be superior to the state governors. Good enough, we have an Hausa Fulani man as Mr. President. I believe that the first thing to do is call all the stakeholders now, the governors affected, even as far as Southwest here, where you already have some governors who have instituted their own laws. Let's have the Mieti Ala, Mieti Hore, there is another one, whatever. Call them the herdsmen, the farmers' representative. Let us sit down and talk. Okay, what do you think will be acceptable to all?
Yeah.
Irrespective of our differences, our state, what one thing can we do? It is when we have done that, we now deploy the cat race, and we now empower the police in each of these states. Then we now sensitize the farmers and the herdsmen to live together in peace. That is, such collective and holistic effort is what I think we need. Yeah. Just deploying soldiers. Yeah. Today, we heard that the herdsmen, or gunmen now, exchange gunfire with soldiers.
Yeah, yeah.
It simply means that we could have a situation where soldiers will be forced to kill in defense. Yeah. And that generates fresh issues.
Yeah, yeah. And strictures and so on. So, these are the loopholes that conspiracy theorists will exploit and give so many meanings. And these theories are dangerous for national cohesion. Oh, is this not a premeditated thing?
Yeah. Yes. You know,
I don't know if you've heard something like that.
Yeah. You know, the governor's farmhouse was attacked during the weekend. Now, an attempt to also launch another attack on his fish farm. So it just means that there is a remorseless band of bloodthirsty people moving around, believing that nobody can rein them in. Remember that in Adamawa State, these people fired at a Nigerian Air Force jet.
Yeah, yeah.
They wanted to bring it down.
A governor's convoy was attacked.
Yeah.
It's the same water.
I can't even remember that, yeah. But I remember that the Nigerian Air Force...
we got that.
Yes, they were deployed to the area and they fired at them. Remember also in Benue, after the killing of the 73 people, the killings began with the killing of livestock guards.
Yes. Okay.
Out of those 73 people,
which we broached on Wednesday.
Yes, livestock guards were amongst them, because these livestock guards were posted to villages to enforce the law. They were the first set of people slaughtered. Right. Now, policemen who were mobilized to Benue State, the first time they attacked the policemen, there was reinforcement, they retreated. They came back. They didn't use guns. They slit the throats of those policemen. 3 policemen killed. And there's also a SAS commander who has been killed by these same people.
Yeah.
So, look, it is it's like an affront on the Nigerian state. It's like they are taking on the Nigerian state. It's like they are at war with the Nigerian state. And that's why the full force of our law should be brought on these people.
Punish impunity.
Punish them. You can't watch them kill people in this manner, because it's doing a massive damage to the reputation of the administration. Governments are in place to protect you and me. So if a government cannot protect you and me, if it gets to the point that we think we must arm ourselves because we are not sure that where we are, some people won't come and kill us in the night, some people won't come and kill our children, then our faith in government will have been eroded. And
also damaging the fabrics that link us as a people, of one nation. Dari, we must not forget to talk about this. Empowering the police. Remember, the Nigeria police started experiencing the downturn during the Second Republic when the police under the late Sunday Adewusi had its APCs seized by government, by the succeeding military government. And so internally, it's the job of the police to quell these things, depending largely on intelligence reports and so on. So the police we must discuss.
Yeah, we must discuss the police, and I think since this issue started, we've been talking about the police. But where in reality we see that the police is overpowered, either for their own inabilities or for obvious things beyond,
or man-made problems.
Oh, man-created problems now.
Sorry, let me quickly take Farouk. He's here in Lagos. Welcome, Farouk.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Yeah, welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening, with our studio.
I agree too.
Hello.
Yeah.
Go on.
Welcome.
Yes, I'm good. Yes. This morning, in one of your, the early program of your station,
Yes.
there was a security personnel or expert that was asked about this harassment and TV problem.
Yeah.
He was pointing at a militant in Benue State. So please, the police should investigate that aspect of that too. Because this guy was saying that there's a militant who is against the governor. He was saying so many things, and honestly speaking, I found reason in what he was saying. Well, that's one. And the second thing, sir, the police or the military should expose these ones that were arrested. Yesterday, they should expose them.
And now they should
the
parade
public
them.
so that we can find out, yes, if they are truly Fulani or whatever. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, Jide, I'm a little troubled when you say parade suspects. You are making them heroes. Do this thing. I mean, the security people know how they...
It is not such a good sight to see criminals or suspects paraded. But in our kind of country, there's nothing we can do about it.
Okay.
There's nothing we can do. They will keep parading them, showing us.
Just to dismiss any doubts and so on.
Yes, you know, even the big-time kidnapper, Evans, was first paraded before newsmen, before he was taken to court. So I'm sure since some people were paraded the other day, and they were said to be people armed by the Benue State government to go and be killing people. Since now that in the aftermath of this shootout with soldiers, some fellows were also arrested, then they should let the world see them.
Their own faces too.
And they should be grilled with a view to sourcing information from them that we can use to end this killings.
And in addition to that, you see, when we parade people like this, you might just find out that some people somewhere will know them and be able to link them to certain organizations or individuals. That will also help in the course of, help the course of investigation. So I don't see any reason why we should not be given the opportunity to have
see them.
of these people who were, bold enough to shoot at
take on the soldiers.
Nigerian army.
So we don't just gloss over it. I hear in some quarters the talk has reached an advanced stage. The propriety of having a state police. This perhaps is the time to begin to tinker with such a thing.
Yes, I was talking about the police the other time, but for the call, I've been able to get to this point. You see, I would just go straight to what you just raised. This is the time. And during the week, is it yesterday or the day before, I had the vice president talking about the urgent need for state police.
He has always demanded for state police.
He has always been an advocate of state police. But one will feel that he's in this government now. And perhaps if he feels it's not necessary, he wouldn't stay, because whatever he say.
But even that, it has to happen with the amendment of the Constitution.
The Constitution
the caller is a part of this. Benga, you are here from Abuja.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Good evening, Benga.
Yes, I want to talk in line with what the first caller said. Because you look at the whole theory. Because I'm beginning to ask myself, is there no fourth columnist within the Benue circle who is against the governor or whatever, or has to grind with the that is also causing this? There's one Ghana that was been troubling Stark in Biam area, and he was chased. We have not been able to arrest him. Yeah. Can he go and hire militants, even Fulani militants, to come and be troubling his people? Yeah. Number two, this law, have we seen the content? Does it have a human face? The people implementing it, the lifeguard, how are they carrying it out? Because in our society, police that we know, they capitalize on some laws and they stop the public and make life difficult for the public. By that, people may want to fight back. Please, let's not just be looking at the herdsmen. Let's look at this area so I can have bring lasting solutions to this challenge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Benga. And Jide, the alternative, unleashing military men in peacetime, please permit the phrase, in peacetime, sends a wrong signal.
It sends a wrong signal. It also undermines the police. But what can we do? That is the question. On his comment that, okay, there is a militant somewhere, I find it funny the way, the levels to which we take issues.
Yeah, but this is what I meant by conspiracy theories.
Yes,
you can't stop them.
In 2016, dozens of people were killed in Agatu. Nobody talked about, maybe there was a militant somewhere. See, clashes between herdsmen and farmers in Benue State has been there for so long. I said it earlier that I was in Benue State in 2010 when the governor, the then governor, Suswam, was almost killed because he wanted to go and inspect a community that was attacked, and the militia turned on the governor's convoy. They fired at the governor's convoy. They had to beat a retreat. Nobody talked about a militant somewhere at that time. So this thing had been on. TVC has even done a documentary. In 2014, we did a documentary about these killings. So it's been there. All these kind of stories that we are hearing, it is because they came up with a law. This law, these killings had been there before the law, before even this current governor took office. So in solving this problem, we should not deceive ourselves by glossing over the real issues and then be thinking, there is a militant somewhere, there is a one little boy somewhere, anytime he shouts, people pee in their pants and no, we can't solve this problem by that. This grazing. Grazing is at the heart of this whole problem. And I've had people say, look, climate change has forced people to be looking everywhere for where they can find them.
Okay, let's take this break, even as you continue to debate the subject matter. Please don't go away. We'll be back shortly. All right, then, let's take this matter home. Fulani militia exchange gunfire with soldiers. Gentlemen, in taking it home, let's also offer choices, because the choices are there, what to do at a time like this. Dare?
What to do? First, we'll have to appreciate, as Nigerians now, and especially the people of Benue, the effort of government in finally ordering troops into the affected area. However, I still strongly believe that we need to do more talking. We must find a way of bringing the Fulani herdsmen. I don't want to believe they are faceless. They have an organization that has, up to this point, not denied them. So I think it is time to bring these people, the players, the gladiators, to the table and ask them, for once, how do you want us to resolve this? Because after this, the full weight of the law will be brought to bear on you.
You are talking about the herdsmen and not the militia. They are two different
See, the militias cannot be divorced from the herdsmen for now, until they are able themselves to fish out the bad eggs among themselves.
Okay.
Either they are militia or they are ordinary herdsmen. People are talking about Fulani herdsmen, and the issue is about grazing, and the central subject are cows. And it has to do with Fulani herdsmen. So the militias probably either are herdsmen killing for their cows, or they are mercenaries killing for the Fulani herdsmen.
And so the rubber stamp is almost permanent, Jide?
That's just it.
Yeah, I agree partly with him that it's better for us to seek peace rather than just trying to force peace on our people. That is what soldiers do. You send soldiers to those communities, but they can't police every community.
Yeah.
Despite their presence, killings are going on as we speak in Nasarawa and in Benue. You know, we've sent 800 policemen to Taraba State as well, Taraba and Adamawa. But the greatest guarantee for peace is for people to agree to live together in peace. You cannot force peace on the people. So that's why that meeting is important. When we sit around at a round table and we agree that this is the way we want to go, then lasting peace will be achieved. If lasting peace could be achieved in Rwanda, and Rwanda sees itself as one country today, I believe that these killings by herdsmen and farmers will become a thing of the past when we truly focus on working on how to achieve peace.
Peace you achieve at the table doesn't go far. It's the peace in your heart. All right, then, let's jump to our next subject. Our dear country, it would appear, is becoming one of extremes in these interesting times, that is. Citizens' rights are suspected to be marginalized by heavyweight political interests, which in turn has provoked an acute sense of exclusion. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, CBCN, bandied this sentiment, amongst many others, when it met with Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari at Aso Rock on Thursday. The exchange of ideas was a candid one. Gentlemen, the Catholic Bishops' Conference, we must give it to them, had been vocal in matters of state. Nobody can talk about a lateness here. The fact that it has broken the ice, we expect that this intercourse between the Bishops' Conference and Mr. President will take us far.
Yeah, it's a timely intervention, especially in this era of open letters. If we find somebody, a group of people, walking straight to Mr. President to tell him to his face, Mr. President, please, these things aren't going on well, then we should commend them. And coming from the Catholic Bishops' Conference, it's an unusual thing. They've been known to speak up for Nigerians at times when it matters, and they've done it again. Mr. President, who has shown statesmanship in listening to them and making some promises. He was statesmanly enough. I watched clips of the encounter, and I think I very, once again, won my heart in this turbulent period with his composure and his answers to some of the posters they raised. He went as far as admitting that, yes, some things are not just right. He went as far as saying there are things he wish he had done better. This is statesmanly, and however, it must go beyond that. He has promised. He must be seen to be fulfilling his promises. And that is where I will come to the issue of he spending this remaining part of his tenure to correct perceived wrongs and take this administration higher in certain areas where people have found very strong reasons to suspect him of issues of sectarianism or nepotism. He must correct these things. And this is another opportunity presented to him by the Catholic bishops. He must take it. He needs to take it.
Jide, the president insists no ethnic group or political zone has been deliberately marginalized in his appointments, made so far. And he says, give me a compendium of these appointments, and let's take a second hard look at it.
Yes, he made that promise, and even on this table, around this table, we've also talked about the need for the president to do something. I do not think that, for example, that it makes any sense to have a part of the country dominate the leadership of our security agencies the way we have now. In fact, it's a Nigerian record.
Yeah.
There's no time in our history that we had that. I've seen people talk about Obasanjo's time. Some people have posted some doctored lists mentioning, trying to give the impression that Obasanjo used nearly all Christians. Some of the people that they put on that list, like Adele Ganiu, Adele were Muslim. People like Anyila were Muslim, But
the Navy man.
Yes. They also conveniently chose to forget that Obasanjo also used a Muslim as chief of staff throughout his tenure. He used Muslims as national security advisor throughout, because after the former NSA left, Brigadier Sali, the former governor of Kaduna State, Abdullahi Seriki Mukhtar, took over.
Yeah.
These were all Muslims. And his defense minister throughout was a Muslim. The gentleman from Zamfara State,
but
former military intelligence man, was Guso. So,
but did it matter then that these people were Muslims? What I mean, did people talk about them?
No, see, Nigeria is constantly changing. I've said it here before that there was a time when we had a Christian as number one and a Christian as number two. That was during Gawan's time. Akintunde Way.
Yeah.
Is it Akinwale Way? Akinwale Way. And Gawan. They were both Christians.
And number three, General Lekbo.
You see, Nigeria has changed.
Okay.
These days, you cannot try that. People's blood will boil. So the president can have a team in which, apart from the chief of defense staff, who does not have troops, and the chief of naval staff, that the rest are Muslim. Chief of air staff, chief of army staff, national security advisor,
head of police,
the head of the police, the national security advisor.
Then even the
paramilitary.
The thing is
immigration, prisons, and all that. Yeah.
Even in northern Nigeria today, many people are angry about the domination of Katsina and the Northeast in the administration of this president. Today, Katsina are heading key federal agencies. There are about 10 of them, headed by Katsina people alone. There is NTA, there is DSS, there is NIA, there is NEMA, there is NIMET, there is MEDAN. Even northerners, other northerners from other parts of the country, from other northern states, they are complaining. So it's not even that, people from the south. No, because if you cannot, if a state like Kaduna will have maybe one or two, there's no way they will feel comfortable with Katsina having so much. There's no way Sokoto will feel comfortable with Katsina having so much, because they all voted for this president.
Okay.
There's overwhelming love for him in those states.
Dari, would you think Mr. President will make these appointments, however skewed, independently of other contributing bodies? Would he do it of his own volition without consulting?
In government, there are a lot of factors that come to play. It is left for the man in charge to know how to balance these factors when decisions are to be taken. So if you want to blame Mr. President for this, we are not blaming him for single-handedly making these appointments. We are blaming him for being unable to balance factors and interests.
Especially the security.
Security in a country as volatile as Nigeria today. It is in this country people once voted a Muslim ticket.
Yes.
Yeah.
Abiola Kingibe ticket. Winning massively.
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter then. But like he said, times are changing.
Yes.
We are in precarious situations and times. And what we now realize where we find ourselves is that everything like this matters. So we shouldn't have a president who will oversee appointments that are suspiciously skewed. Appointments that give people the feeling that are people planning anything against the rest of the country, or they are deliberately keeping other parts of the country from all. When you have all the security chiefs, but two as coming from a zone or a part of the country, in our own type of arrangement,
not good enough.
It is
not good enough.
It is a big threat.
No.
And we must always remember instances, things that have happened in other countries, where they've been on this kind of journey. They follow this path of skewed arrangements, and it ended in chaos. Rwanda is a good example. Dominance of one tribe by the other, then counter dominance after opportunities present themselves, then counter dominance. Eventually, it ended in serious crisis. The president may not take the blame of being the only person who did this,
No,
but he
has to take the...
as the supervisor of the entire Senate,
the box stops
on his table.
Yeah.
He takes the blame of not doing what he ought to do.
But let me reconcile what you have just said, along with Jide's,
Yes.
to what he told the bishops. He regrets that the well thought out policy of the federal government, which was conceived after wide consultations, that's what he said, with stakeholders, had been largely misunderstood by a section of the public.
Maybe he wasn't referring to
The
security appointments. See, the first set of appointments that the president made at that time were heavily skewed on the side of the Northeast. And you want to tell yourself, is it because a lot of the people in this kitchen cabinet are from the Northeast? Then you have the chief of staff from the Northeast, the
Chief of police.
At that time, the chief of army staff. We had the national security advisor, chief of army staff. You know, secretary of the government of the federation, INEC chairman from Bauchi, Mekanti Baru now, the NNPC GMD, also from Bauchi. So the Northeast has really enjoyed this administration much more than other parts of the country. So when you look at the first set of appointments made at that time, more than 70% were from that part of the country. And that will get people worried. Well, if the president is saying now that, oh, when they give him a compendium, he will be able to probably make amends. He has to make amends. If he does not make amends, people will see him as an insensitive leader. He has to make amends because the security, you know, Obasanjo also talked about it. The president is unwittingly giving ammunition to his enemies by allowing this kind of aberrations to take place, you know. So he has to do the right thing. Thank God, these clerics that went to him, they are his supporters. If it were the Khan people, you know, the Khan people don't even want to hear about the president. But these ones are his supporters.
So the Khan people can't in this case. But again, there's a cynic who would tell you, Dari, how about the national team? If all 11 players come from the Southeast, does it really matter? So long as they give us results. That's like wild thinking.
It's off track.
Okay.
You can't compare that to what we're talking about here. It is not...
There's even federal character principle.
There is federal character principle, 1. 2, in the national team, the national team is not usually made up of 11 players. There are reserves, there are other fringe players and all that. So
the people you see are those
are
on
the 11 players.
pitch.
That is not to say of the 28 or 32 that have been taken for that tournament that they are all from the south.
Even if they were all from that place.
And then it's about...
it is not federal character principle that is enshrined in our constitution. Has nothing to do with competitive sports.
And then the competitive sport is even guided by international norms.
Otherwise,
that does not allow such thing to creep into.
Otherwise, if the world heavyweight champion is Akwa Ibom,
then
it does
he's a
not
Nigerian
say
champion.
the featherweight champion must be from the north.
No. If you are not strong enough,
you cannot. It's about skill.
Tyson, I like one quote from Tyson. He said, "Everyone thinks is good enough until they get punched in the mouth."
Oh yeah.
So if you are not good enough,
yourself.
And you get into the boxing ring and you want to fight Anthony Joshua, you kiss the canvas in no time. So that one's federal character cannot save
cannot stop it.
But in appointments,
the
Constitution says that it shall be guided by federal character. And when we are talking about federal character, Citizen Jones, we are talking about states, not even geopolitical zones. Because our constitution does not recognize geopolitical zones. So when the president is talking about geopolitical zones, they need to tell him that he was wrong. It is by states, the 36 states, that the federal character principle is talking about. So they are the federating units in our country, and they must all be represented.
The president shared a bit of his sense of history. He said, "Let me remind you, I have commanded 3 of the 4 divisions of the army in the country, Lagos, Ibadan, and Jos. So I'm familiar with the peculiarities of these environments." That should help him in the way forward from here.
Yes, that is what we expect him to now bring to bear. He should show us he is a general now. The generals
of the People's Army.
Of the Nigerian Army. He was a general of the Nigerian Army, and now he
should be the general of the Nigerian public.
Nigerian public now. In history, when you have generals as leaders during wartime, it is always
hold the country together
and advantageous
Einsawa.
For peace. Einsawa and others like that have been able to prove that.
Yeah.
Now we need our general to show us he is a real general. Nigeria, or some parts of Nigeria, are drifting towards war. He must bring his experience commanding all these troops, all these units and whatever of the Nigerian army. Let him bring it to bear on Benue. Let them show his dexterity in handling military affairs in Nasarawa. Let the people of Taraba feel that Nigeria is being led by a general at this time. It is then and only then that I will begin to appreciate
assess him at that time.
His generalness. That's my take on that.
George Bernard Shaw, you remember the writer? Let me share one of his quotes here. "The secret to success is to offend the greatest number of people." The secret to success.
Yes.
I want you to put it in perspective.
And I will give you an example.
Yeah.
In 1998, Angage, the coach of the French national team, refused to take Eric Cantona and David Ginola to the World Cup. They called him names. Everybody insulted him. The press always dedicated full pages to be abusing him. But he said, "These guys, if I take them, they will destroy my
the camaraderie in
yes, in the team." Oh, he didn't take them. Even the president intervened. We refused. What happened? Angage won the World Cup with France.
Without them.
Without them. When they won the World Cup, then the Sports Writers Association, I don't know what they are called, organized a press conference. Have you seen where journalists organize press conference? They organized a press conference and invited Angage, where they apologized to him.
Publicly.
Publicly. For not believing in him, for insulting him, because he chose not to take those very popular players. They were the 2 best players of the national team.
It's like George Best of Ireland.
It also happened to Romario.
Romario, yeah.
Romario, the Scolari said he would not take Romario to the World Cup. The president begged him. The whole country, they wanted Romario to go to the World Cup. Scolari refused to take Romario to the World Cup. And Romario, he just likes to go to parties, go to nightclubs and all that. And Scolari won the World Cup. So it fits perfectly into what Judge Bernard said.
The secret to success is to offend the greatest number of people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, because big decisions, leaders find it difficult to take big decisions. But if you get a big decision right, the whole country, Citizen Jones, will rally behind you and identify you as a true leader.
And people will know, they will say it lasts 60 seconds to become a hero.
Yes.
By merely pronouncing something inside 60 seconds. Divine is here from Lagos. Welcome, Divine.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, then.
Yes, first of all, I want to go back to issue of Benue issue. You see, what is happening in Benue now is something that is called for order. I disagree with people saying that this is what does it call? That there is a militant. The issue of Fulani killing in Benue is not something of this year. It's not something of last year. It's not something of 2 years ago. It has been there for a very long time. But the problem is that the sitting governor now, I would say he felt so quick in the sense that he did not, before implementing that law, there was no adequate security to monitor the border areas, which where these people always coming from. But that will not stand in. We are not perfect. But the federal government himself should have, done something by, trying to sympathize with them. That is my own takeaway in that very issue. And take a look. We are talking about the federal character. Buhari visited Nasarawa some days back. You see, this thing is something that with that opponent. Divine,
Mr. President, his visit to Nasarawa was a work visit. Please don't misinform the public. I hear we must begin to go.
Yeah.
So how do we close?
Well, it's still to tell the concerned authorities that these issues must be nipped in the bud. Killings in any society will bring no good. We shared innocent blood. We are creating more problems than we'll be able to handle.
And put simply, enough
is
enough. Already too much.
Yes.
Jide, how do you close?
Yes. Let the killing stop. For God's sake, let the killing stop. It's barbaric to take another man's life. It is the worst offense that you can commit against your state by taking another person's life. It's the worst offense before man and God to take a person's life. Let the killings in Nasarawa, in Benue, in Taraba, in Adamawa, around the country, even the killings by Boko Haram, by Shekau and his people, let those killings stop. Let Nigerians live in peace.
All right, then. Let me thank you both for coming. Babajide Otitojo for coming.
Thank you.
Dare Udufokan, many thanks for your time. Let me leave Mr. President with another quote from Judge Bernard Shaw, and this is very interesting. He says, doing what needs to be done may not make you happy, but it will make you great.
Yes.
That's it on Journalist Hangout for this Friday and this week. Join us next week for another interesting episode. Watch the repeat broadcast of this particular one at 11 tonight. Also, watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at TVC News. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Take care of your weekend. I'm out of here. Bye-bye now.